Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your models would practically build themselves. Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. Welcome to today's show. Today we're going to be looking at some more bases for my minis. These, I'm going to be using them for my Warhammer 40K Space Marines, but you could use them for a bunch of other things, a bunch of other wargaming, or even fantasy figures, whatever you'd like. We're going to be looking at some commercially bought bases and how I paint those up. We're going to be looking at a different way of doing lava that actually is really, I think, is really cool looking versus what we had done in a previous show that I wasn't really happy with the results and the crackle medium that I used. But this one I like. And we're going to be looking at a couple of others. So stick with Mad Dog Merv as we look at some more miniature basing.
First, let's look at the lava base that I want to do. Methane red for the base, and then I went ahead and put some cork pieces on, went ahead and used some of the Troll Slayer orange, and then some Avalon Sunset yellow, and for the little teeny highlights, I used some Flash Glitz yellow. Once that dried, I went ahead and put on some of this Mordant Earth. Nice and thick. It's going to take a few hours to dry, but here's the result. Well, here it is, gooped on there, nice and shiny. You can see it's pretty thick. And I'm liking how this is looking already, but here's after a couple of hours. So I just took some future acrylic floor wax, whatever you call it, whatever it is this week, and I went ahead and I put a gloss coat on the lava itself. And again, you can see that Flash Glitz yellow highlights there down the middle. I really like how this turned out, a lot better than those other lava bases, and I'm definitely going to make up a bunch of these for a group of my for my Blood Angels. And here you see, yeah, my heavy weapons guys. I think this looks pretty good.
I'm going to try some of these. 35 bucks for a box of these. There's 52 bases. There's 2 of these big 65 millimeter, 10 of the 40 millimeter, which is this base, this size base, and then there's 40 of the 32 millimeter, which is the smaller style base that comes in the Warhammer set. So let's open this up and take a look at them. So what I'll do is I'll start out with priming these in a flat black, and I think mostly we're going to do this with a lot of dry brushing and some other stuff. Oh, this is pretty cool. These will be some neat bases for what we're doing. And there's those big ones. Wow, that's neat. So, all right, let's get started.
And my old standby, some Rust-Oleum 2X paint. This time I'm using a flat black, and we'll go ahead and get it sprayed.
All right, now we're going to do some dry brushing on these bases. I'm going to take my dry brush and get it wet, and then get most of that water off of there. I don't want to have it wet and streaky. I just want to have the bristles damp. And what I'm going to do for this, you can use whatever gray you'd like. I am going to mix up my own using some Mission Models primer. Maybe. Okay. Take some white. A little bit of black, and it's more black than I wanted, of course. There we go. That's much better, much lighter. Okay. Rub most of this off on the palette, or on the whatever that is, napkin. Thank you. Okay, you can see these are ready. They've been primed with a black, and now I'm going to carefully start going over these. These walkways, I probably want to cover them pretty good, because I'm going to use another paint to paint over that area. And there. Just like that. And if I want to add a little more white, or just some straight white, I can now pretty easily. And there. Okay, now for the next step. Okay, I'm going to take some Tesseract glue, get it on the brush, and I'm going to do the walkways with it. But I'm not going to do this one, and we'll show you why here in a minute. Actually, I am going to do that one. Never mind. Nice thin coat. Figured even in the future you got to have high visibility walkways for safety, you know. So could use any other color, but I like the high visibility yellow green. Okay. All right, we'll come back for the next step.
For the colors, I'm using a little Methane red, some Avalon Sunset, some Troslayer orange, and instead of Lead Belcher, there's this Model Air Vallejo that looks really good. So you can see how this turned out. Picking out the little details, going over it with a pin wash. I did do some gold on a couple of those little areas, but man, I like how these look, and the figures do look really good on them, I think at least. So definitely worth the money. You guys know how I like to do toxic landscapes, so here we are. We've got a green. This is supposed to be like a warpstone glow. It's a Vallejo match for it. Also, they've got their moot green that we'll be using in a few minutes. So on this vase, besides the paint, we are going to be using coffee grounds. I know, coffee grounds. So I just take it out of the little Keurig cup, put it on a piece of like waxed paper, and I let it sit for a couple of days on the shelf in the house to dry out, although you could put it in the oven for 10-15 minutes, 200 degrees, and it'll still dry it out just fine.
Okay, now that I've got the base color on here and it's dried, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some cork on this. I've learned to super glue these. I'll just cut the excess off. That's just how I do it. There. And there. Quick and easy. All right, now we'll get working on mixing up the next batch. Okay, now I'm going to use this here, just some craft paint. I've been looking to see if I could find the actual name of the color and couldn't really find it anywhere. So, but anyway, it's a nice kind of a milk chocolate brown type thing, whatever you want to call it, reddish brown. And I'm going to put just enough to kind of fill the bottom here. Now I'm going to take the coffee grounds and I'm going to do about a 50-50 mixture of coffee grounds. Oh, that's way too much. That happens. Coffee grounds and paint. Add a little more paint because I got more coffee grounds in there than I want for this demo at least. Okay. And we're going to mix this up real good. More grounds. Unfortunately, this is as scientific as it gets. A little bit more, a little bit less. It's kind of like cooking. Kind of eyeball it. If it's too dry, it'll just clump up and kind of fall apart. And if it's too wet, it won't do the cracking that I want it to do. So, okay, this is a little bit too dry. Okay. Mix this up good. There we go. That's much better. Much more like what I'm looking for. Okay, now we're just going to take and dab it over here. Nice and thick. The edge. Okay, there you go. We're going to let that sit and dry and see what happens.
So because I didn't add any water or glue or anything like that, it shouldn't be growing any funkies in it. It just has whatever water was in the water-based paint. Once it dries, this stuff is harder than Chinese trigonometry. It is on there, and it's on there good, but it also has some cracks, which is really cool. I went ahead and based it with this little purple flower growing out of there, and you can see the other color green as well. Turned out pretty good, I think. Here I just did this on some bases. You put it on nice and thick, and you can see it cracks naturally, especially if you put a little bit more grounds in than the paint. And here I've dry brushed it with a light gray, and this is going to work for something. I don't know for what, but I do like it. You can also change the color, do whatever color you want. Here I've put some black on it, or black in for the paint, in with the grounds, and this is how it turned out. So it's definitely something kind of fun to experiment with, that's for sure. So now finally I want to do what's called a frozen methane base. We're going to try this out. So I'm going to use some Baharoth blue for the basing color. Going to get some cyanoacrylate glue and some of the cork that I use. Put that on there so that he's got a nice little platform to stand on, and paint that up with the Baharoth blue as well. Going to use some more of the mordant earth, goop it on real heavy, and once it dries, it does this. Cracks really good. I went ahead and took some more Baharoth blue, gave it a light dry brush, and this is how it turned out. I really like how it looks with certain minis. So anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this today. I hope you learned something new, and go out and try and have some fun. So thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you again soon.